Earlier this week, I published a blog post called How to Change the World, in which I discussed two different ideas. One, what does it mean to say change the world? What do we mean by that? Are we being specific about it, or are we using it in that sort of reflexive way where the phrase has come to mean almost nothing? We say it instinctually like, oh, I'm just going to change the world with that. But I'm much more interested in the practical application of how do you go about actually facilitating and making measurable and visible change in the world. That's why I wrote the post in the first place. So that was the first part of the post. The second part of the post was talking about what I believe are the three criteria that you need in order to actually change the world. And as a refresher, if you haven't read the post, which I encourage you to do, the three factors are togetherness, alignment, and action. If you can get people together, aligned, and moving in the same direction and taking action, you have the conditions necessary to be able to change the world. Now, in that post, I wanted to give some of these ideas, and I didn't really have a chance in that post, without making it too long, to talk about how I intend to change the world. And I think even in saying the words out loud, change the world, they've been used so often that it sounds lofty, it sounds pithy, it sounds over top. But I really do hope that in my lifetime, I'm able to facilitate actual change in the world that makes the world a better, kinder, safer, and more equitable place. So when I say change, that's what I'm looking for. I want to change the world in the sense that there are more people who are behaving more kindly, that we have more safety, and that we have more equitable conditions, meaning that everybody has opportunity. There's no one who doesn't have a roof over their head. There's nobody who doesn't have access to clean drinking water or abundance of food, to survive. So it's a lot of the bare necessities of life, but also that we're creating a world in which people have opportunities to do great things together. That's really what I'd like to see. It could sound a little bit out of reach, and I think any good change is worth being a little bit out of reach. So when I say change, that's what I mean. I want to see a world in which we have a greater awareness, a greater consciousness around extending empathy and compassion and vulnerability to one another, to be willing to self-sacrifice, to protect others, and to just generally create a world that's safer, kinder, and more equitable. So that's what I mean by change. And when I say world, because remember in the post I had mentioned that it's important to define what you mean by change and what you mean by world. When I say world, I'm talking in the immediate about changing the world of business, because the world of business has such an immediate and amazing impact on the world around us that how businesses conduct themselves actually has an impact in how we conduct ourselves out in society. So I think me working with people in business is one, the way that I'm able to keep a roof over my head, but also I believe that it's an area for impact and change. And not only that, but the people who go to work are the people who exist out in the world and out in life. Work is just one of our many functions. So if we can shift the consciousness of how we operate at work, we're able to then shift how we operate at home. And the hope is that over time, in terms of the timeline of what I would like to see with the type of change I want to create in the world, is I'd like to see measurable change in my lifetime. But equally as important, perhaps more important really in the grand scheme of things, is to see the downstream effects generations from now of a world that is continually getting kinder, safer, more equitable. And really my philosophy behind all of this is that we need a world with more superheroes, and we need those superheroes working together to create this better world. So that's what I mean by change the world. Now, how am I going to go about doing that? Well, I'd like to show you how exactly I plan to go about doing that. So here's my plan to change the world. So the ultimate kind of goal, the thing that I think allows me to facilitate this change, is to empower others to become unstoppable catalysts for change. I want to give people all of the tools that they need, that when they band together and they're aligned in what they're trying to do and they're ready to take action, that they are empowered to be unstoppable in their ability to create change. And I think there's three ways that I can help people do that, and three things I think are really necessary for them to get there. The first is the purpose-driven life. I think having a reason for being here and knowing what you're after and what you're trying to accomplish is essential to facilitating any real change. Otherwise, we don't really think big enough about what it is that we're here to accomplish. So what do I mean by that? When I look at building a purpose-driven life, I mean thinking about what it is that you really care about, doing work and giving yourself permission to go and do big, bold, important work. It's about thinking about your life in a distinct timeline. Regardless of whatever your beliefs are about an afterlife or reincarnation or any of that, I encourage people generally to think about this life as an opportunity. Since we don't know for certain about anything else, the one thing we do know for certain, and we have reasonable evidence, is that we have this time while we are here. And we have the opportunity to think about how we use this time and to use that time for something that's important, something that makes our life have meaning. We assign the meaning through the work that we do, which really brings together the concept of what is your life's work. It's not just what your job is. It's not just about, did you get a promotion? It's about what are you here to accomplish with this precious life that you have. And then even once you've discovered all of that, once you've thought about all of that, life is going to throw obstacles at all of us. It's going to give us reasons to quit on our dreams, to give us reasons to quit on the mission that we feel that we're out here to achieve. And we need the resilience to be able to stick to those principles and those ideas and the things that we are out to accomplish. I think a lot of that comes through in brand work. I think brand work is a really, really great way of aligning your mind around a bigger idea and a bigger purpose and kind of letting that guide you as a North Star into the work that you do, whether that's at home or whether that's at work. So a lot of people will find themselves in a position where they feel like they need the permission to actually go and do this important work rather than just clocking in, clocking out, feeding their family and taking care of their basic responsibilities. I'm trying to, through my work, give people the permission to think bigger about why they're here and what they're out to accomplish, and to do something that people might say, oh, that sounds lofty, or that sounds foolish, or that sounds impossible. I hope to be the type of person that gives people permission to do those sorts of things. And I'm not saying everyone has to. I'm just saying that for those that want to do that sort of a thing, that want to think bigger, that want to facilitate and initiate big actual changes in the world that align with making the world kinder, safer, and more equitable, I want to give them the tools to live that purpose-driven life and give them permission to be able to do that if they need that permission, that is. So the first part of creating and empowering people to become an unstoppable catalyst for change is getting them aligned behind their life's work, their life's purpose. And that's the first part of it. So that's the first part of it. The second part is giving people the tools to unlock their potential. So how do we do that? Well, I've developed this thing that I call the Superhuman Framework. And to me, there are these 5 different components that go into the Superhuman Framework. There's learning, thinking, communication, leading, and realizing. And when you put those 5 meta skills together, those 5 meta abilities, they give you the ability to unlock new abilities in very specific tactical or skill-based ways. So once you learn something and you think about it and you can communicate it and you can lead people and you can realize it and bring it into the world as something that actually is happening, you've essentially unlocked the entire life cycle of growth and creating change. So the second way that I try to help people, in addition to giving them the questions that maybe cause them to think about what is the purpose of their life and what do they want to do with the time that they have, is to give them the tools to then capitalize on this time that they're here, to give them the ability to unlock growth and their potential and do the things that they want to do in life by having the tools to do it. So that's the second part of it, is unlocking human potential. And then the third part is about leadership, heroic and lovable leadership. So I'm all about heroism, things like self-sacrifice and protection and compassion and empathy. And I'm also about lovable leadership, which is the book I have coming out in January, that is about leading with trust, kindness, and respect. I believe that the best leaders are the ones that really develop a sense of strong bonds and love with the people that they're working with. There's no hierarchy, there's just a connection, and leader is just a role. And the way you do it is a choice. You can choose to lead with love, you can choose to lead with heroism, you can choose to accept it as your burden, your privilege, and your responsibility. And you can do all of these things, or you can lead like a tyrant. It's completely up to you, obviously. The way that I try to work with people is to, once I've helped them realize their purpose-driven potential, what it is that they're after and why they're here to do whatever it is they're doing, and equipping them with the tools to then give them a push in the direction of leading in a particular way that leads with love and kindness and respect and trust, and that puts them in a position where they want to be heroic. They want to do amazing things and change the world to make it better. So those are the 3 components that bring us out to this idea of building empowering others to become an unstoppable catalyst for change. So those are the 3 things where I try to work with people. It's what my content's about. It's what my businesses are about. It's basically what my life is about, is doing these things with people, whether I get paid for it or not. So the nice thing about it, when I think about these 3 pieces, is that the combination of these different things, all 3 makes people an unstoppable catalyst for change, I would think. That's my philosophy, at least. But when you combine any 2 of these, you get kind of interesting effects. So I believe that when you combine, say, a purpose-driven life with unlocked potential, what you essentially get is someone who is prepared. They have a purpose-driven life and they have unlocked potential. They are now ready. They are ready for whatever it is that they are after because they've got the tools and the skills, they've got the abilities, and they've also got the mission and the end goal, the North Star of what it is that they're after. So I want to build people who are prepared for what it is that they're trying to do. That's how you become an unstoppable catalyst for change, is being prepared. But the next thing is, if you unlock people's potential and equip them with the tools for leadership, what you're essentially doing is you're making them powerful. Because when you have skills and you are heroic in the way that you can do things, and you can learn new skills and you can teach people and you can lead and you can realize and you can learn and you can think and you can do all of those things in the Superhuman Framework, and you combine that with extraordinary leadership that brings people in, that builds strong bonds of trust and kindness and respect, that's built on love and heroism, then what you have is the ability to become powerful. And by powerful, I don't mean power to subjugate. I mean power to affect and make change happen. The same way that I heard an analogy recently about streams coming together to form a river, and the power of a river is formed by all of these mini streams coming together, and virtually nothing that stands in the way of a river will survive as that the force of all of that water runs through rocks and through mountains and does whatever it feels like, basically. So in the same way, I think that if we bring people together who have unlocked potential and we're able to lead them together towards a common cause, we have the ability to be extremely powerful. And then if we were to then combine purpose-driven life and heroic, lovable leadership, so now we're purpose-driven and we're heroic in our leadership, we are clear about what we're here to do, right? So if you know where you're going, you have the skills to lead, you are clear about where you're going and where you're trying to lead people. So when we combine all of those things together, we get this idea of an unstoppable catalyst for change, or people who are clear, prepared, and powerful. And I believe that if you have a group of people who are powerful, prepared, and clear, if you have unstoppable catalysts for change who are all working together, who are all aligned in what they're trying to do, and who are willing to take action together, we can change the world. And that's how I plan to help change the world.